Gary Oldman is best known for roles in such films as Sid and Nancy, Bram Stoker's Dracula, JFK, True Romance, and Immortal Beloved. His latest effort is not in front of the camera, but behind it. As the writer, director, and producer of Nil by Mouth, Oldman tells a personal story about a working-class family in South London. New York Times film critic Janet Maslin called his film powerfully raw. Joining me now, Gary Oldman, and I am pleased to have him back at this table. Welcome back.
How are you?
Welcome. How do you feel about directing?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
Well, I was always aware that it was hard. I mean, it looked hard, you know, just as an observer of it, and have always tried to at least be director friendly.
Yeah.
You know, show up on time, know your lines. You know, have an idea, some clue of what you're going to do. I had no idea how hard it was. In fact, physically, the stamina that one needs for it. But you know, acting is an interpretive art, and you are the one who communicates these ideas. Playwright, an author's ideas, and it was nice for once to be in the driving seat. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Something you'd like to do again?
It's something. I think I have to do it again. Really, like in a way, I had to write this piece. And
why did you have to write this story?
Well, it had been so, it was haunting me, and it was to the point of obsession, and it's such an important part of my life, growing up there, being molded and being shaped by that. And I thought that if I was going to pick up a camera, that I should at least come out of the gate as a director with a milieu that I really knew, that I could really own.
Yeah.
You know, in a sense, you may not like the film, you may like it, you may not like it, but you know, I'm on good ground here. You know, I know my subject on this one.
Tell me the story for the benefit of those who haven't seen this film.
It's about a family in South London, and specifically about a married couple, Raymond and Valerie, and they have she's pregnant, and they have a daughter, 5, Michelle, and it's really a couple of months. Kind of a look through the keyhole, in a sense, looking in at their lives. And Raymond's an alcoholic, and you know, the themes of the issues that the film deals with are chemical dependency and codependency. So you know, Ray's addicted to booze, and Val's addicted to for these women, the men are the drug. So she's addicted to Ray.
You sat and watched in the green room a conversation I did with Anna Quinlan.
Yeah.
And you said, as you walked out, it's the same.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't get into the psychology of, I can't really get into the head of women, why they put up with abusive relationships, and spiritually, emotionally, verbally. You know, this film deals with domestic violence, but it's not. But it's not just about that. It's a violence of the spirit, of the soul that the film deals with as well. And why they stay, I can only imagine that it may be easier to be in a relationship like that than an indifferent one. You know, that he sees me flirting with someone else, he beats me up because he's jealous, so that means he loves me, doesn't it? It might not be a cuddle or a kiss, and it might be a belt around the head, but it's better than nothing.
Better to Yeah. It's better to show some reaction to me than to ignore me.
Than to ignore me. But what she was saying about digging up the roots of one's life, you know, when she was talking about sort of, you know, divorce and why some you know, people stay together because of the fear of that. I've done it. I've been through it, and I'm still shaking and reeling from the aftershocks of it. From, you know, it's 10 years ago, and it affects me every day. I think about it in some capacity.
Do you really?
Yeah, you know, I have a child from that marriage. So, you are inextricably you're linked to this person.
But is it still painful?
It can be.
The wrenching apart.
Yeah, it can be, especially when there's I think when there's a child involved, you know, that, and it kicks up a lot of dust for me, you know, because I find myself projecting, feeling for him, you know, missing me for him in a way that I kind of miss my dad. I kind of put myself in that head, in that little boy's head, and it can be incredibly painful.
How much of this story is your story?
Who
was Ray?
Who was Ray? Ray's a bit of me. He was very much loosely based on someone who was a part of my family, who isn't anymore. It's sort of biographical in spirit, in mood more than it is literal. But it's peppered with incidences and episodes and people that it's a sort of a cocktail of things, you know, from...
Set this up. This is where Billy, who's been beaten up Ray, his sister, drops by the family home to quickly see them. You remember the scene?
Yeah.
Okay, set it up. Anything else I should say about that?
This is Billy when he comes around with the wine, is it?
Yeah,
he comes around with the
I think
cases
so.
of wine.
Right.
Well, it's just another sort of typical Sunday. It's a typical Sunday afternoon at home.
Roll tape. Here it is.
I only come up to give you this.
What's this?
All right, that's for you and Nan, all right? Because, like, she lends me fags when I ain't got them. She makes me cups of tea and all that lot.
One of the few clips you can actually show on television.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. The film is dedicated to your father.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. Well, he left home when I was I think 7, 8, and in fact then he died. I was about 25, 26, and in fact I was in the middle of shooting Sid and Nancy when he died, and I hadn't seen him very much in that time, and it affected me. You know, I carried a lot of issues that were bubbling around in me, that were unresolved, and see, I don't remember my dad ever saying that he loved me. See, I just can't remember it. I'm sure he did. I know he did. I know he loved me, but I was a young boy, and a lot of it I've kind of somehow, you know, just sort of like I've taped over it. I've like erased it, you know, and so that and he didn't see any of this, the success, you know, the stuff that I've achieved, and when we were, you know, and the film deals with absent fathers. There's no authority figure in the movie, so that's one of its themes that it deals with. And I was sitting there in the editing room and watching all of this come back at me, and I thought, you know, it's sort of for you, in a way of it's like a love letter, saying whatever happened, you know, I can't change any of it. So I might as well actually try and somehow resolve it and move on and forgive. You know, I can't forget it, but I can actually, you know, I missed him a lot. And I think, and it's my work has been very influenced and fueled by that, you know.
How so?
Well, as I say, because he wasn't around to see a lot of it, I would find myself standing in the wings, you know, when I was in the theatre doing plays and sort of I would have conversations with him. Or one night I would dedicate it to him and say, you know, this one's sort of for you or whatever. You know, it was a strange kind of relationship with him. And because I think when a father goes, the little boy kind of has to become a dad in a sense. And then there's always that, you know, there's such powerful mythical figures to us that then you have that, you know, you have this whole image of who Dad is, you know, and you know, and now with time, and I can look at it and think, well, you know, he wasn't perfect. I made him perfect, you know, and no one can be that. So that's really what the heart of the dedication is, just sort of saying, you know, I'm going to move on. And of course, the film, Raymond in the film talks about his father, which in part is my father. Yeah, is my voice. You know. So on that level, it is a very very personal film, but it's a well of emotion that one has been tapping into for a long time, because it's in Dracula, it's in Oswald, it's in all of that work, but here the spotlight's on it.
Yeah, it's in all of the other work.
Oh yeah, I think anything is for anyone, whether they sculpt, paint, it's all autographic.
Did you, the autobiographical part, did you feel not loved because he never said he loved you? Did you feel you wanted to know why?
I think it's just hard. It's very hard for a 7-year-old to understand why someone doesn't want to stay around. And I think a lot of people, I can only, let me just speak for me, not a lot of people, me. You blame yourself. You look to you.
Something wrong with me.
You failed somewhere, you know, and you want to say, well, if you do love me, as much as you say you love me, or why are you going off over there? Yeah. Then hang around, you know, and it's very hard to work that out as a little sort of chap, you know, and what I've tried to do with my eldest son. I just have a 5-month-old, a new baby, so. But what I've tried to do with the eldest boy is I always tell him I love him, and you know, make him. I want him. You know, I want him to hear that.
See, that's a direct result of what you experienced, because you knew how painful it was for you.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder. I had a very, very different.
Yeah.
I mean, my father and mother.
Yeah.
Could not tell me enough how much they loved me and have, you know, and I probably developed a huge sense of confidence, but at the same time, my father didn't do things with me as much as I wanted to. He wanted me to sort of come and be a little person in his world, you know, go do things with him, rather than play sports and all the other things that I did, you know, in his absence. But I wonder if parents knew the consequences, as you do, because you experienced it, therefore you are so good. You know, it would just be axiomatic that they would do it. I mean, some of the most powerful stories I've heard are the enduring presence of pain because of the absence of love from parent to child.
Yeah. I mean, I know that has it's shaped me. Yeah. You know.
And informs your work and everything else.
And significantly shaped me. You know. You see, we've got this film. You know, it deals with it's about, you know, the classy mobile, the disenfranchised, the whole thing. And this is not as, I didn't make this movie in response to a new government coming in, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and Maggie bash, you know, but it comes at the tail of conservatism, and we got this new government in, and everybody's, you know, like you do, you think, well, change, you know, it's gonna get better. So this movie was not made. This movie was made before that happened. But the sort of mantra of Tony Blair, he comes in and he sings, education, education, education. This was his big thing, which is fantastic. But if you take, for instance, someone like Michelle, the little girl in the story, you send her out to school. She is so traumatized and almost to the point of being catatonic, thinking, is Daddy, the Daddy that's going to walk through the door tonight, whether Daddy will actually come home at all, but if Daddy comes through the door tonight, is he going to be the Daddy that loves me and that loves us all? Or is he going to be the Daddy who smells strange and whips me and my mother into an inch of our life? And if you're 8 years old and you're sitting in a class, you could have Einstein teaching you physics.
Yeah.
He ain't going to go in.
Yeah.
You're not going to... If I've ever been worried about something, I'm preoccupied with it. You know, you half listen, you can't concentrate, you can't read a book, you can't focus because you're worrying about this thing. And I think so many kids, for them, that it's not so much it's not so much that they can't learn, but
preoccupied.
Oh yeah, with all the stuff that's going on
at home.
That's going on at home.
Yeah. This scene, one last scene, where Ray has beaten Valerie and is desperately trying to see her and get her back. In the scene, he finds her so, as she comes home and he confronts her. Anything else I need to say?
That's where he goes to. She's coming out of hospital, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Roll tape.
I mean, we don't talk anymore. Whenever you go out, just get in, Mum, will ya? Just get in, I'm dealing with it.
And he stands there so sort of, you know, I think he's so handsome at the top of those stairs, and you just go, get it together. You know,
don't you hear? Yeah.
You know.
Great to have you.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
All right.